guess that's like you'd start. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and call it to order. First thing on the agenda is the authorization of the payment of the bills. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I was in there and looked at them today.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Next up is the treasurer's report, which I believe would be the budget to actual presentation that we can see on our screen. So Tanya, take it away.
Okay, I had to find myself to unmute. Sorry.
No problem.
So let's go back here from the beginning. Okay, so this is the budget to actuals, and this is at, we're at 9 months. So we start with the sewer fund, and you will see most of this is in budget. Our employee benefits are even at this point. This includes the retirement that we pay at one time. So actually for the year, it's on par, but for the 9 months, it's a little behind, but that's because we only pay it once a year. Home and careers is right on track. And then the difference you'll see again between the year and the 9 months is because we have some one-time expenses that are for the water meters. So we finished paying the $60,000 at once, and then some others that we replaced for parts. So overall, we're on budget, but at 9 months, if you did a straight 9 months, we would be slightly over, but that's because of the one time, so it's expected. You come to the water fund, and it's the same thing. For the year, we're completely on par with budget. In fact, you'll see we're a little under budget for the year, and that is because the $30,000 that is up for an adjustment later in the meeting. We haven't had to do any water main repairs, so if we don't use repairs, we reallocate that at the end of the year. At 9 months, again, we're mostly here in the water fund, especially the home and careers is under budget, and that's at $30,000. The other ones are either close or right at budget because the debt service is already paid. The employee benefits is a little under, and then the government spending is even. And then you come down to some notes. Yearly overall, it's acting up being online. Yearly overall budget is on par. The medical insurance, we will need to increase this line because we had another person move over to the department who's on the health insurance. So it was budgeted in the general fund and not in the water and sewer. So then you go to the general fund yearly budget, and you'll see most of these are on par or way under, and that's because of one-time expenses again. With the transportation over here, what's in there that hasn't occurred yet is the dam and salt shed. So, because they're for the transportation department. So that's why we're under budget there. The public support does include the one time though, just to give a heads up for the fire department, for the fire truck. So when you get to 9 months, you'll see that is over budget. But again, that's a one-time expense that within the year it evens out. Home and careers or home and community services, this is primarily in budget, but we're done with the cemetery that's in there. So again, it looks more like it's almost full. It's because we are coming to the end of the year and there isn't much left there for expenses. The expenses are earlier in the year. So like home and careers and our home and community, which would include the cemetery and recreation, a lot of those activities already occurred. And you'll see this here. The transportation, again, the only reason this is over at 9 months is because of vehicle repairs and equipment purchases, along with the rock salt. We've expended most of that. Public support, like I mentioned, it happens to do with a fire truck, and we got the police car. General government support, the reason this is over at 9 months but isn't for the year is because all the insurances are paid at one time. So the liability insurance, the fire department insurance, all of those are one-time expenses. So put it over at 9 months, but that's expected because we don't pay anymore. So within the 12 months, it's even. And then you come back and you'll see that's basically what it said for the general government. The insurance expenditures, and it's for the general liability and the fire department, are paid early in the year instead of quarterly. So it shows a big overage at the beginning. And public safety is a fire truck, transportation, the capital projects, the dam and salt shed haven't happened. And then you see the real property taxes and water tank. This is still the same. So I just left it on so everybody could see we had collected 97%, 3% was re-levied. In the sales tax, again, this is going to come up next. We budgeted originally $650,000. Then we reduced it to $607,813.67, and we've collected $472,998.13. For the last quarter of sales tax, it ends up being higher than we anticipated. So we are going to have to make a budget adjustment, which is coming up actually right after this. So this actually will be 640 something thousand, which is pretty close to our original estimate. And any questions?
Wow, that's great with the sales tax.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
Who would have guessed? It
Oh,
wasn't
that's the
us.
good news part of the sales tax. Then there's the bad news part of the sales tax that's coming up.
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks for the foreshadowing.
I'm gonna keep it
Well,
real with
that's
you
for
guys.
next year.
That is for next year, though. Yes. Yep. It's something that yeah. Well, anyway, we can talk about it when we are. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Any other questions from anybody?
no, that's great. It says that we're basically on track, no serious issues, and that's important. That's great. I'm all for it.
Yep.
Great job making that so easy to understand, Tanya.
Yes. Thank you,
Oh,
Tanya.
thank you.
All right. Next up is the Little White Church proposed Keystone contract amendment. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to review this yet or not, but they reached out to us because of, the difficulty we were having funding the work at the Little White Church, and had an idea that if we did a stormwater harvesting system there, which would kind of solve two problems, because we do have a kind of a serious runoff problem there and grading problem. We might be able to get a grant to replace the roof and also to fix all the foundation and structural stuff that's been impacted by the water. So they put together a grant proposal. It's a lot of work on their end, but to submit for the grant would be, I think, $10,000. It would be $10,000, but that could get us, about 800,000 if we get it, and we have a pretty good chance. They've got a good track record in getting these things funded, so I think it's worth the risk. I hope that you guys do too. Any questions, thoughts? No? Yeah?
That's
I have
a
something else
great
with the
thing.
Little White Church, but we can finish up the grant thing first.
Okay. So then I would just need a motion to approve accepting that contract and getting them. It's a fast turnaround. They've got to submit it next month.
February
So-
12th.
Yeah. So it's
I'll make the motion.
Well, I think it's worth the effort and go ahead and submit the bid and see what happens. But I don't think we should spend another penny after that on the Little White Church.
Well, yeah, that's something I think Pat will talk about in a second, but all right. So we've got Tim motioned, Ed seconded. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. And Pat, you want to jump in with what you had? on it?
Yeah. With everything with the Little White Church and, what we saw with the the foundation work. Uh, Dan and I had a conversation with Randy Crawford last Thursday. Made a lot of discussions, came up with some good things. Randy, we looked at that foundation, so we're very concerned, and rightfully so. But Randy was like, he was saying that we have more time than we think we have. We don't have multiple years, but we've got some time. And so he came up with some other suggestions. One of which is, of course, we're looking at the Keystone Associates grant, but also there's some other EDF grants coming out, and those can go up to $500,000. He was saying that we would look very good if we get this Keystone grant, or if we do a patch on the sill to buy us some time, that we could ladder grants to pretty much pay for the structure. I got a copy of the latest EDF points, and we hit a lot, if not all of them. So I think we have a pretty good chance. Now, the downside is it probably wouldn't be until 2022. But if we get this Keystone grant here, then we can ladder the next grant, and we would probably pretty much cover everything for the church.
That's great. Yeah.
And that would put off the bonding issue then.
And that would put off, and that's my next thing is I think we should hold off on the bonding until we get a little bit more workup done and know where we stand with some of these grants. There's no sense going for a bond if we get these grants.
Correct. Yep.
And I think this would also give us more time to get more fidelity as to what we're exactly looking at. We did a thumbnail sketch of everything to do to make sure we got this done once and done right, but it's still only a thumbnail sketch and still requires a little bit more fleshing out. So I think we would be able to provide the residents a lot more fidelity as to what we have and what needs to be done if we gave ourselves a little bit more time, starting with the Keystone grant.
As long as Crawford has done a pretty good job, because we definitely don't want it to fall apart where you can't, you're always trying to chase your tail on fixing it. So
Well,
if it can hold for a while, I'm okay with it.
Yep. Yeah, and hopefully we'd find out about the Keystone grant, which would really repair the major structural issues anyway. So hopefully we'll find out about that relatively soon. I'm not sure what the turnaround on that is, but sometime in the summer, I would hope.
I think that's all really great news, but I've had nothing but negative feedback on going on the bond issue, because their grandkids, people that are coming to me, talking to me, their grandkids might not see some of the turnaround. That's a long time for a bond.
Well, the grandkids would see the turnaround right away, but they would be paying for it for about 20 years.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Very good. I guess moving on to the next item is the sales tax adjustment.
So looking at the Cortland County agenda, our fourth quarter sales tax is going to be higher than anticipated at $168,627.17. That gets a final approval at the legislature on the 28th. Because of that, our sales tax will have a $33,811.63 overage. And the budget adjustment that would go with this, we originally had cut out the turnout gear for the fire department. So we said when we found money to put it back. So instead of taking it from reserves, so I don't want to take it from reserves, that's the 23. The 10,000 is for the LWC contract that you just approved, and the 811.63 goes towards the laptops we are replacing.
Perfect.
So that we don't have to take it from reserves.
Perfect. Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Then it adjusts our budget.
Okay.
Kevin seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. That's great. All right. The next up is, let's see. I see we got the turnout gear, and then the budget adjustments.
So each fund had a lot of budget adjustments. They're actually just individual lines, cleaning them up based on expenses that really happen. So you'll see like the contractual and the sewer, we needed $20, but $20 was put into blacktop. So because we had bought asphalt, and that's what all of this is in the sewer. And so we increased the maintenance of the building, software, and then we decreased different sewage fees and non-vehicle repair. So that evens it out. So all of those will stay in line. And it's because we used to have everything in one bucket. Now we do individual lines.
I was going to say, to clarify, the reason that we always have these budget adjustments is we used to just budget X amount of dollars for water, X amount for sewer, and then that's what happened. So you didn't have to make adjustments, but you also didn't really know what you were spending it on, where it was going, and how you were doing in certain different areas. So
Yep.
Now that Tanya has it all broken out like this, we can really track what we're spending money on, where we've overspent, underspent, things like that. It's a lot better for us and a lot better for our residents to be able to follow the budget. It's a lot more work for Tanya because she does have to go through and move money around to, areas that wind up spending more or aren't using their funding. But otherwise, it's the right way to do it. It is just a lot more work.
But she's pretty good at it.
She is, yes.
Thank you. So the water fund, it's the same thing in equipment. Originally, we were going to take some of this from fund balance, but we don't have to because we have it in other lines. So the equipment cost and admin went up, but in the power pumping and equipment went down. So we're using it from there. We did the block top too from this, so that increases that. And then the software cost, we replaced all the computers and software this year. And I mentioned how in the budget to actuals, we'd have to increase the medical insurance for someone coming over, and that's what that is for. They're just switching departments. And then the building maintenance went up there in professional fees and repairs. So it just pulls them out of the actual ones to put them in. The general fund is next. And I'm just trying to get mine to move down. There. So the general fund took a lot more time because I went through every department, and we have a lot more departments in the general fund. So you'll see through here, we didn't end up using the professional fees, but we did end up having software expense because we bought, a lot of it came because of COVID. We bought the team viewer. So that's all that stuff that we had to allocate money for and reclass them. The fire insurance, we actually had to increase. There was a 2947. We had to move over for that because it just came in higher. So the police equipment, and basically instead of a whole bunch of small repairs, there was more equipment purchase. So that's the 5124. It just moves it from small equipment to capitalized equipment. And we'll keep going. Get out of. So then what happens in the spring and winter streets is every fund in spring streets has to move to winter if there's any left over. So that's where you see all these reclass to winter, reclass from spring. It's the exact same count, but we're just doing it in the winter time. So we just move any extra over to it. And so that goes between page 1 and 2. And then we, in rec, we just had a couple, to move money towards the coat racks we bought from the other lines because we wanted to actually store the uniforms better. And then all it is software that was bought. We had to allocate money for between the historian and coats. And so that's primarily all of these. Any questions?
Nope.
So that just needs a motion then.
All right.
So Tanya, I assumed that you were showing that stuff on your screen. Is that correct?
I was.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
That doesn't matter, I
I
heard
was
you.
reading mine. I'm
I heard
sorry.
you.
I didn't actually click show.
Oh, okay.
I just read them.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Well, I'll make the motion.
I
to,
was in your
do it.
packet.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. All righty. The next up is to accept the water fund proposal to reserve up to 30,000 of unspent funds for equipment reserve from that line.
So you'll see line F8340 400. We always budget money in case a line breaks for line repairs. And again, we're very fortunate. Buzz and his team do really well, and nothing broke this year on this, so we've spent nothing. So presuming we're not by the end of February or whatever's left, we want to allocate that to the van that is needed. When you put that 30,000 with the other 20 something we're putting in this year and the money from next year's budget, we'll be able to buy the van.
Perfect. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Great. Okay, the next one, Dan, you're going to have to lead us through this one, the Cranes of Hope proposal.
Yes, a lady contacted me a couple weeks ago named Liz Sharp. She's already done some a lot of legwork on her own. This is a completely our resident-run project. This is really nothing to do with the village. They want to do something of hanging cranes or doves, paper sculptures in the trees on the village green. She's already talked to the First Religious Society. I think they're amenable to it. I don't think they have a date yet, but she reached out to the village to see, one, if we would just be support the project as a yeah, that's a great thing to do. But also, if the email that I copied you guys in your packet, the email I sent to Zach and Tammy Dottle, if the village was so inclined, maybe to put Tammy Dottle to work for a modest stipend, I assume, to garner the kids and kind of put a project together this spring for it. And so that's still obviously some logistics need to be worked out there, but I would think Tammy would be a great person to spearhead that and work with Liz on getting this project up and running and have some of the school kids put some stuff together.
That's a great idea.
So don't have so like I said, modest stipend, don't have a number right now, but certainly it would go in line with some of the other
Sure.
stipends she's had during this COVID time of all the different recreation things she did.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Any other thoughts from the board? Got the
I
thumbs
like
up.
it. Public art is always great.
All right. Yeah, let's go forth with that then.
Yep.
All right, I'll reach out and we'll talk. And if Tammy's not interested, then maybe Zach we could do with it. And or Liz has her own folks that they can organize with parents and kids, and we'll see where that goes.
Sounds good.
And if they need some resources for us, we have a couple of meetings beforehand. We can put something on the docket in the future.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And that concludes it. Comments from board members. I'll go around on my screen. I see Ed first.
Hey, I don't know if we want to do work, but I got a bunch of things. One is I'd like to nominate Kevin Slack as commissioner for the Route 281 Revitalization Committee. We've talked about helping out Route 281 for years. We've had hit and misses. We've had an economic committee at one time. We had like a walk where people punched things and got a little bit of activity. But I think there needs to be a bigger kind of plan for, like, say, Route 90 all the way down to a little past 41, because we get 4,000 cars a day between 90 and 41. And of course you get 11,000 to 90. So we got a lot of people going up 90, but we don't own a lot of property up there.
90 is a historical pathway.
I know, but yeah, they said 11,000 cars a day at 90 and only 4,000 at 41. So they all drop off somehow between 41 and 90, like 8,000 cars. I don't know where they're going. They must go up 90 or down Cayuga or James Street, I guess. I don't know, something. But anyhow, we need to think about grass, get rid of some of that asphalt, put up some flowers. Maybe, like I had talked about before, maybe we do one of these CBDG grants that are coming up, that we get monies to buy houses when they become available. I mean, I don't want to knock anybody out of their home, but if they want to sell, maybe we would have first dibs or something to buy them, and either turning them into businesses or parking lots, or tear them down and build a bigger store, which is revenue for that would help the community, and it would be managed. And that's really the key, is how to manage growth. And of course, we have our DRI, we hope, for downtown, for the historical part, which would make that an awesome combination between 281 for maybe more of the, hate to say it, Dollar General kind of things. And because I'm going to get yelled at now, versus, some of the cool stuff that we would have down on Main Street. So I think there's a combination. I'd like to recommend that Kevin, if he'll accept,
I do.
pick his own commission. I think we've talked about it. It's been in the comprehensive plan. We ought to do something. So
You're right. I agree. Yeah.
that's one thing. All right.
I got
Kevin,
2
you're
or 3
nominated.
people already in mind.
You're
All right.
nominated.
And I would recommend you come back and ask us for some budget money if you need it. If you got to have like a landscaper or an architect or a TOMA or somebody else, and we can even try to get some grant money. And that's what Rich may do here by this
Well, I mean,
G thing here in the next few weeks. Maybe there's something in there. We could throw in something to help you.
I think that we just need to budget for it as part of the comp plan, because really I think it needs to be fleshed out in the comp plan the same way that the downtown area did.
And that was the second part of this, is comp plan needs some money and some effort. Dryden is just doing theirs. We can kind of download theirs again and see what they did. I know what we did 10 years ago, and I'm sure it needs to be updated because we've done some things, haven't done some things. What do we do going forward? And that should help us focus as a trustees and mayor to focus the village where it wants to go. And like I said, CBDG grants are due February 5th or something. So Dan hopefully is writing some of those comp plan signs. I guess they're coming in. I'm not particularly happy with them, but I guess I voted for non-gold leaf signs. I didn't know I did. I was hoping that I
So,
gold leaf, but I guess I must have signed on for the non-gold leaf. So
Ed, did you go, well,
better than what we got.
did you go and look at the samples down in the office?
Yeah, I did, and I didn't like them.
You understand though that the gold leaf it almost doubled the cost of the project.
Yeah, I know. And I remember the sign that we had under where we were down at the old police station there in Rec Hall was like $3,500, and now we're spending $5,000. And I figured we should get something comparable, and I guess we didn't.
Well, we went out to bid,
I know. I know. It's better than what we had. I'm good with it. I
thought it looked pretty comparable to the gold leaf, and the fact that it was going to last that much longer, and we weren't going to have to go back and fix every individual sign every 5 years.
That's the key point right there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm happy with that. We're doing so much better. At least we got new signs, and we'll get those in the spring. I think that shows what the community is like, and it shows that we're not dying, we're going forward, and it's kind of spiffy, and that really helps, and that should help sell houses, bring people in. It's all economic, and that's all good for economic development. I did attend the meeting on the LRIP this last week, and that's moving along fine. I did turn in the last chapter to Dan to kind of review the fonts and stuff like that, and he can turn it in or not. It doesn't matter as long as there's no money available. So we're done. So all we got to do is do a couple reviews from the board and that kind of thing, and we're 100% done on our portion of the LRIP. Now we're just waiting if we want to. With the downtown and the rest of the communities, because there's no hurry yet, because there's no money available to bid on. So we have 4 points out of 10 possible to help us on our bids. If we turned it in, we get 6 more. So we have those 6 waiting, because I haven't heard a word from the State Department, because I've been sending them the chapters as we got them done, and you guys all reviewed them. So we should be okay, because I haven't heard a word back on anything about negative or positive. So I'm just kind of letting you guys know that I think we're okay on that. So we're waiting for monies to come out for DRIs and that kind of stuff. So let's hope we do all right in CBDG. And that's basically what I had to blather about.
No, that's good stuff.
Good.
And
Good stuff,
when you
Ed.
were talking about between you and Kevin for the comp plan, we budgeted 10,000 to start next year.
Woohoo!
Okay.
All right, Kevin. You have some of that 10, probably.
All right. Pat, what do you got?
Nothing really for tonight, but I did want us to start thinking about for maybe the next meeting was the community gardens. With COVID and what we've kind of gotten into a routine, we know what to expect. And I definitely think we can have the community, my opinion is I think we can have the community gardens open this year.
Sure, I agree.
And the same with music on the green. If we have it outdoors, people I think are getting savvy enough to physically distance. We know being outside is good for everybody.
Yep.
And if we get the right performers, we can have something. I'd like Zach to look into that if that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do the music on the green. I think we could do Holiday and Homer. I mean, some of these things, because, I do agree. People understand now what they need to do. They need to wear masks, stay distant, and it doesn't become all that much different than, going to the grocery store, right? Going to, if we had Holiday and Homer type thing. So, yeah, I think we have to try to start to resume normal activities, and I agree with you on those things.
That was the only 2 things I had. Thanks.
Excellent. Kevin.
I want to thank Ed. I'm excited about getting things going. And,
Yeah.
let's see how many pictures we can get of Joe Biden in the Village of Homer. That's a cool
All right.
one.
Tim.
I would just expand on what Ed was talking about. I've talked to a lot of people and they always seem to think that we don't do enough with 281. Since we had the sidewalk available all the way down the one side without any poles or lights on it, I would propose we try to look into the ornamental lighting like we did on the Main Street. That always seems to grab everybody's eye. You can hang flowers off of it. It adds a different atmosphere to the whole route. So I think that would be a very good place to start and look into, especially seeing as how we're about to get all our lights changed. Maybe we can look at avenues where during that presentation we watched, maybe there's monies available. They did show that thing where you could match. I talked a little bit about with Pat, and there might be a possibility. You never know. The worst thing they could say is no, they couldn't do it with that.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, we might be able to just expand the scope of the project a little bit to, well, not a little bit, quite a bit to add that, and it might delay the payback time on the project by a couple more years, but it would be a big improvement for the village.
Yeah. So I think us really digging in and trying to find ways to expand our 281 would definitely help everyone, and everyone wants it.
Yep, I agree.
The only thing I will say that every single person I talk to does not want is Dollar General.
Yeah, that kind of goes without saying. I've yet to talk to anyone that is excited about that, but I have talked to many people who are very angry about it. So,
yes. So,
Thanks, Tim.
Hey,
Go ahead, Tanya.
Tim, when you talk about the NYSEG and the lights project, David Huss called me and said we're also eligible for a lot of rebates. So he has to have a whole bunch of information when we do it, and if we do it, then we actually get rebates on all of these lights that are going in.
Ooh, that's huge.
So, yeah, and I haven't been in the conversation, so whether I thought I'd bring it up, but this way he said, like, there's a spreadsheet that he has on all the lights we have to switch, and we're eligible for rebates on all of them.
That's enormous, and that's not something that we knew about. So that's huge. We can just turn that money around and reinvest it directly in 281.
Yeah,
Right.
That's great.
that's
Whoever
awesome.
talks to them, let's try to get it all too.
Okay. Yeah.
Together.
The last conversation we had wasn't really about financials. It was just about the capabilities of the lights with the smart cities stuff that we're going to do, which is, we're going to install some cameras.
Yep. He
So-
called me out of the blue because we're getting a refund of $4,000 too.
That's
Just
awesome.
to throw that out there. Yes.
Awesome.
But now the bad
sometime
news
this month.
is, well, it's not bad news actually.
That goes back to NIPA. Yeah.
The light pole that Tim Daly knocked over the other day, we've got to pay for.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't that by your house, Tim?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you. I know it wasn't you. We caught the guy that did it, and so I assume that that person's insurance will be paying for everything. So,
Awesome.
but we are going to have to put it up. So,
Okay.
If we got $5,000, maybe we want to put that towards flowers or something, at least on 281 for like next year. Maybe we can put up some boxes or something.
yeah,
I mean, at least get Kevin started to say, hey, I've actually done something besides talk about it.
yeah, maybe that with that 4,000, we can just earmark that for Kevin's 281 group to use.
Yeah.
And maybe some
I would
flower
say
boxes
absolutely.
might be something that DPW could make this winter, because they said they might have, non-snow days time to make some boxes. I don't know.
Good idea.
Careful, Ed.
No, they work hard. I'm just saying, they do say some days when there's no snow, they kind of they got to be paid. I mean, we're not laying them off till there's a snow.
And that's
Ideas,
That's fun work.
and they're good at it.
Yep.
Actually, because they did a great job in those community garden boxes. They look great over there.
Yeah, they did. They did.
And my post that I built with that sign, I did that,
Did you know?
Yeah, I did.
You
It's still got the knobs on the back with the plastic on it from my 7th grade high school workshop. That was knobs on a box I made in workshop, 7th grade. That was 1958 or something.
You've been hauling that around with you ever since.
Yeah,
huh?
and I took it apart and put the knobs on the back of the plexiglass so you can actually put articles in there to keep them dry. So you can actually put notes in the back of that stand
Yeah.
for things for, rules and regulations, who to call, or where's the key to get the water. Of course, most people know that because they pay the money to
Right.
get the hose connection. And maybe there's a lock for putting some shovels and stuff in one of the Agway round buildings. I do think, I guess I probably should tell you, is that I think the Center for the Arts and this Genius $5,000 stuff that helps the community, I think they put in some monies or a request to actually do some painting of those.
Oh, okay. That'd be neat.
Maybe they can do some murals and stuff. I know private people can't because of the New York State ladder law that Silverman put in, that anybody gets hurt on a ladder, you're at fault, no matter if they're drunk or didn't know what they were doing. So we have a big ladder law kind of thing. So it's a workman's comp thing. So that has to be our people to do it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, he's in prison.
I know that, but I'm just saying they still have the ladder law, and so you can't have,
Right.
you or I could, because we're employees, but we can't have private citizens climbing ladders and painting or anything. So unless they're subcontractors and they have their own insurance. Okay, over. Sorry.
All right. Very good. Anything else from anyone? Do we need to go into executive? I'm not sure that we do.
Wait, Hal, can you just explain what's going on with the Little White Church again? I'm sorry I missed that.
Yep. We got a bulldozer and we're going to knock it down tomorrow.
Okay.
How much did
That's
you
a
miss?
good
Did you
deal.
miss all of it? Do we
I'm
have to go
sorry.
back?
I was prepared for a different story, so I was kind of like, so some news. In order to backtrack about why I was a little distracted.
Sure.
I may be taking another job. It's not official yet.
Aw.
So I'm sorry, I was in the middle of doing something in relationship to that at the same time while listening on the meeting, and I wasn't expecting a lot on the Little White Church, to be honest. So it wasn't where my mind was set on. So I just kind of need you to reiterate it.
We like
So,
to talk.
so Shandona, is Don Ferris hiring you? Is that the other job opportunity there?
No, it's not even in this county.
We'll be sorry to lose you.
Yeah, it's not official yet. I haven't formally accepted, but I got a good offer, a good negotiated offer today. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens, you know. It's
That's the way it works.
yeah.
Can't be mad at you for progressing yourself.
No, you got to do it. So Little White Church, we are applying for a grant for a rainwater or stormwater harvesting system. We approved $10,000 to the firm that's writing the grant. They've got a good track record in getting those approved, and it would cover the replacement of the roof, the installation of the rainwater harvesting system, placement of the tanks for the rainwater in the basement. So, and then basically that water, you know, we could fill up the street sweeper with it. The fire trucks could fill up with it. You know, it could be used for watering, whatever. And the grant hopefully would also cover repairing the foundation and the other structural issues, because they're all related to really water damage. So that grant is due on February 12th, and they are writing it feverishly, and we'll be submitting it. And if they do that, it will be able to stabilize the church. And then we've got some other grants that we would be looking into going after, that Pat and Dan and our architect have been talking about.
So does this mean you guys are officially putting the referendum on hold, or?
Yes. Yep. That's going to be on hold at least until we hear back about the first grant.
Okay.
And this is all avenues that we did not know about before.
Right.
Okay, thank you guys.
Sure. All right. Any questions from Don?
Nothing from here.
All right. Anything else that we have? Are we going to be done in 45 minutes? That's fantastic.
Well, I just want to check with you, Hal. How are your sleep patterns? Are they better?
You know, I go to sleep around 10 and wake up around 2, and then go to sleep around 4, wake up around 6 if I'm lucky.
Did you go to the sleep lab?
I went to 6 of them. You know, I got a new CPAP, and this one's monitors it wirelessly, and so they tell you when it's, you know, you're not using it enough. And I get these calls and messages every day. We noticed that you only used your CPAP for 3 hours last night. You should use it for longer. And I wanted to say to him, I would use it if I was asleep. I'm not asleep, so why? I'm not going to wear it when I'm awake. So,
well, I have one as well. So.
Oh, you have a CPAP? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wear it when I'm asleep, but.
That sounds like a reporter's sleep schedule. Yeah. I'm always like that too, checking emails. For the life of me, I'll never be able to tell you why.
Yeah. Nope. I wake up like in a panic at 2 o'clock, like I forgot something, and then then I'm up for a while.
Have you tried melatonin?
I've tried everything. I've had this problem since I was a kid, so I've tried everything. Yeah.
I tell you what, I cannot even take a half an hour nap without mine.
Yeah.
I use it religiously.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's just it's not my sleep problem. It's one of my sleep problems, but it's not my sleep problem.
It's not the main one.
My sleep problem is that I don't sleep.
That's what kills me. I wear a mask all day long, and then I got to wear one at night.
You don't like it? You don't like the CPAP? I like the CPAP mask.
Yeah, it's all right.
Nice.
I was just concerned. That's all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm excited about Kevin been working on 281. I think that's going to be awesome.
That was a good call there, Ed. You picked the right man for the job.
Oh, yeah, well, we knew that.
Mhm.
Before everyone says goodbye, we do have a few executive items.
Yep.
Oh,
Pers-
okay.
We have a,
Personnel and a legal matter.
Okay.
All right, then we need a motion to go into executive.
Motion to go.
Second.